Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Preparation. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. Baseball playoffs. Monday Night Football with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets playing for first place. Baseball playoffs. A new coach for the Jets. You got to start with the Jets. How can you not start with the NFL? Tens of millions of people watching Monday Night Football. The Jets coming with a new coach, a new level of preparation, a new level of excitement. It didn't work. I never did understand the merits of an in-season managerial change in football, which of course is called an in-season coaching change. Difficult to put your own stamp on an organization. It's not like someone can come in, all of a sudden you put a brand new playbook in, everyone's got the playbook, and within 8 days, 9 days, because they had 9 days since they fired Saleh, get ready for the Monday night game. And they were left with the coach, the defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach, interim head coach, Jeff Ulbrich, saying to himself and the media, hey, we got to get the defense going. Well, you're the defensive coordinator. How's that going to work? But then he wanted to make sure, before I even get to Aaron Rodgers and the game, I wanted to go right to the interim coach selling out the organization and his previous head coach so badly. Why wouldn't he? The owner sold out Robert Saleh. You might as well blame the old head coach. It is the oldest trick in the book. When you go into a new situation in sports or in business or in a relationship, in anything, anytime there's the first sniff of trouble that looks a lot like the old trouble, you say it's because of the old regime. It's the remnants. So Ulbrich said, we have to start stacking weeks of exceptional preparation. Exceptional preparation. Under Saleh, they had minimal preparation. Of course, he was the defensive coordinator, but let's not quibble. When it's the head coach who's responsible for all the preparation. The head coach is designing everything and then funneling it down to the coordinators who try to get the players in position to manifest what the head coach is doing in terms of preparation. But under Saleh, it was not exceptional. But now it is. But it's only been 1 week. So we've got to stack the weeks of this newfound exceptional preparation. What a load of horse hockey. It's so good. I was watching him second half. Such an ugly half of football. So many flags. Aaron Rodgers, after the game, was complaining about the flags. There were so many. He even called his own roughing the passer bad. But it was so choppy. And I was picturing Roger Goodell watching, or wondering, is this what you want, gentlemen? Is this the product you want? These referees throwing their yellow flags all over the field. I was picturing Woody Johnson during the second half going into halftime with a Hail Mary. Aaron Rodgers did a Hail Mary that worked. I've never, except in 8th grade, played tackle football. Though I never played baseball, and I could certainly talk about that. But let's talk about defending a Hail Mary. I understand that you get paid for interceptions. I understand it's really cool to do the interception because you get to pose for pictures. You get to run with the ball. You may even get to keep the ball. You've got a goal, and it's one goal when there's a Hail Mary, and it's knocking the ball down. That's it. You're not taught as a defensive back, or any of the 9 players who were back there, since the Bills decided it would be smart to rush 2 and therefore give Rodgers all the time in the world to step into the Hail Mary. But forgetting all that, when the Hail Mary's coming your way, there comes the ball. Knock it down. And don't say that Lazard found a way to get position like he was boxing out. It's like a half-court shot. There's plenty of time. And it's not even boxing out with a half-court shot, which could go off the back rim and go all the way out to the free throw line. So you could be boxing out perfectly, but the rebound goes to the free throw line. It's a Hail Mary pass. It's coming down. You can see it like a punt where it's coming down. So the Jets scored a Hail Mary. They cut the score to 2017. And you're thinking, wow, this turnaround is real. And then the second half happened, and it was an absolute disaster for the Jets. And so as I pondered thinking about the game, I went right to Woody Johnson, the owner. When you make a change, you're supposed to make it right before. It's like doing a team meeting in baseball before the other team's worst pitcher's pitching. That's what you do. You don't do it before the ace goes. Doing a team meeting before a game against the Bills, I sort of get it. It's a big game. You want to win. Doing a coaching change, you do it at a time of the season where you believe that you can improve your lot or have the time to improve your positioning. But what are we talking about here? Are we talking about Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, who all of a sudden people will wake up this morning and say, ooh, he threw for almost 300 yards. What a great game. It was his best offensive game. This isn't because of Aaron Rodgers. Forget the fact that he underthrew that interception. Forget the fact that a bunch of plays were called back because of penalties. Let's not even talk about that. That looked like a guy that could lead this team. And we've heard from Woody Johnson, just like we heard from Ulbrich. This is a team with exceptional character. We're going to have exceptional chemistry. And if you put that along with the exceptional preparation, you're going to get exceptional results. I think that should have been the word of the day, is exceptional. One coaching change, and all of a sudden the Jets are going to be exceptional. Well, last night they looked damn ordinary at best. Then when the game ends, you're Woody Johnson. You go down, you go into the clubhouse. You don't do the walk like Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones does that. He is unique, and there's an order of the people who are behind him, and everyone understands where they are in the hierarchy of the walk. Hierarchy of the walk is a real thing. When you are side note, Coca, when you're walking to a press conference, there is an order that you walk to the room, and there's an order you walk in the room. None of it is done sort of haphazardly. Hey, after you. No, after you. Because it's all planned. Like Survivor's Tribal Council. They don't just walk into Tribal Council in any order they want. It is rehearsed. It's planned. You know where you're sitting. You know what order you're in. When Jerry Jones walks to the clubhouse after the shellacking that the Lions took, and you can see sort of the minions and security and various people behind him, and then he knows where he's going to do the scrum. So I was picturing Woody Johnson. It's really easy now because the coaching change was made. For this week, you lose to the Bills, and you just make sure the coach says, hey, this was the perfect step that we needed to realize how good our team is and the potential of our team. And it's the best team we've put together over my 25 years owning the team. You couldn't expect a turnaround in one game. But let me tell you what this interim coach is doing. We've got this. You know who's feeling really good this morning getting on a plane? Although I think they would have flown last night, Coca. I believe the Mets would have flown home last night. The New York Mets. Here's a shout out to all the great Mets fans out there. And if you're one of the Mets fans, and there were about 7 of you who called me after game 1, call meaning text, reach out. We're outclassed. We're done. We're overmatched. It's because they lost 9-0 in game 1. Of course, that's not how baseball works, because fewer than 24 hours later, there's a game 2. You've got Vientos hitting a grand slam, and before you know it, the Mets are up 6-0 and hold on and win the game 7-3. And you're thinking to yourself, do I text or call Samson again? Because guess how many of the 7 people reached out to me after game 2? You got it. 0. Why? The Mets win game 2. Are they all thinking, whoa, we've got this? It's a 5-game series. We've got 3 games at home. We don't even have to go back to LA. If we win 3 in a row right now at CitiField, we win 4-1, series over. No going back for game 6 or 7. When you are the road team in a 7-game series with a 2-3-2, 2 games at the higher seeds location, then 3 games at the lower seeds home field, and then game 6 and 7 is back at the higher seeds field. What do you need? What do you do? What's the plan? The plan is simple. You split the first 2 on the road. Get a win, whether it's game 1 or game 2. Then you go home for 3 and you win a series. That's all you got to do. You don't have to sweep. You win a series. You go back to LA up 3-2, and then you just have to win one of the next 2. That's sort of how you plan it out. Sometimes it doesn't work, like the Knicks in Houston in 1994. Sometimes it does work. The odds of the Mets sweeping the Dodgers over the next 3, de minimis. The odds of the Mets winning the series, they're only plus 130. Take a look at this Dodgers team, if you choose, and then answer me whether or not Ohtani, Betts, Hernandez, and Freeman and Smith have a chance to go 0 for 19 again. Yes, they do. Freddie Freeman is hurt, can barely walk. Will Smith is hitting below 100. Ohtani is Ohtani, but get him up without people on base, and you can take care of him. Let him hit a solo home run every time. Betts has a chance to be hot. He did hit 2 home runs in 2 games in the Padres. Hot? Teoscar's hot. But Teoscar has a hole in his swing the size of the Grand Canyon. It is entirely possible to shut down the Dodgers lineup. It feels scary when they keep coming up, much like the Yankees when you go Soto and then to Judge and Wells and Stanton. It just feels scary. So many hours and years talking about scary names in lineups. It's a funny thing we have in sports when you're putting a team together. You're looking for names that people know, names that elicit this sort of visceral feeling by the other team or by your own fans. Hey, we've got this guy. We're in a better position because we signed him. Well, he's about 4 years past his prime. He's no longer the player he was. He's just got the same name. If you gave him a different name, you would not have said, sign this guy. There are front offices, ours included, that we would put players next to each other without names because names do something to you. It is a strange psychological phenomenon. You hear Tyler Durden, you get, ugh. You look at a lineup and you say, God, I got to somehow get through Ohtani, Betts, Hernandez, and Freeman. How do I even do that? Well, that's what managers and coaches are for, and that's what advanced scouts are for. Because we are there to remind pitchers that when you think that you are up against Juan Soto and you will give up something, or Ohtani, do you know that 70% of the time it's not going to happen? Baseball, we forget about the math all the time. We have an expectation for hitters to do something when they're at bat, not realizing that baseball is a total game of failure, and the odds of them actually doing something that you need at a particular time are really not that big. So the Mets go into LA, they get the split. Where are my 7 people telling me, hey, the Mets have a chance now? They're too busy thinking to themselves they're screwed because game 1 went so badly. And I respond to each one, better than 1-0, better than 1-0, better than 1-0. Nope, got ignored. 9-0 is better than 1-0. All right. I got to talk about the Guardians and Yankees for 1 minute, if that's okay. I'm watching the game. We had the Guardians plus 1.5. We'll talk about that in the pick of the day. And I found myself, and I've only been out of the game this is my 7th year out of the game after 18 in the game. I was thinking about the party that we had in my own head alone yesterday about 5 years of nothing personal. And I was thinking, am I now becoming more of a fan? Am I reacting to games differently than I did running a team? I want to guard against that because that's one of the secret sauces is that I'm not a fan at all. Pretty robotic about how to analyze and look at games and get inside the front office and managers and players' heads. All based on experience. I'm watching the Guardians and the Yankees, and I'm thinking, wow, the Guardians don't have a chance. It's a total blowout. The Yankees should sweep this series. It's not even going to be competitive. Stanton's going to win a pennant. Every wait to see I had is going to be wrong, but the Yankees are going to the World Series. And I'm watching, and then a weird click happened. Sort of like being overtaken by some ghost. And I went back to being the analyst that I am. And I said, wait a minute. The Guardians did not use their 4 best bullpen arms. The Guardians had something historic happen to them that gave the Yankees these runs. Joey Cantillo, a young pitcher, comes in the game. He walks 3 guys and throws 4 wild pitches. The last pitcher to do that, did you guys know, or did you have to be told? Do you remember Rick Ankiel? When a pitcher gets the yips, it's even harder to get rid of than when a second baseman gets the yips. Just ask Chuck Knobloch or Steve Sachs. It can ruin your career. But as a pitcher, to get the yips, it is the most painful thing to watch. I was watching this pitcher come in the game and spike the ball 42 feet, watching Bo Naylor, the catcher, not even know what to do. People blaming the catchers, saying, hey, he's got to be set up better. They're set up to frame now. That's a thing that announcers are saying. Catchers now are set up only to frame because analytics says framing matters more than blocking. Therefore, they're not in good position to block because they've all got one knee down, so they're not as mobile as they need to be. I don't want to be a part of an analytics who says that framing is more important than blocking. Framing is something that we would talk about a lot, but we'd also talk to umpires a lot. Do you think umpires get fooled when you catch a ball at the bottom of the zone? Take a look at this when you watch a game. And the catchers take it. If you're watching this on Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube, if you're listening, I'm putting the glove down where the ball is below the strike zone, and then I'm lifting it up right to the strike zone. Or I'm taking a ball that's inside to a lefty, moving it over to the center. Oh, the umpires say, I didn't see that. I totally get it. That's a strike. It was a ball when it was caught, but it was a strike when you put it and framed it. Now, of course, we do teach catchers the positioning of the glove matters. Missing the spot matters. If you set up for down and away and it comes up and in, you may not get the strike call. All of that is true. But what matters more, and it manifested itself in the Guardians-Yankees game, is that giving teams free bases is a surefire way to lose. Between all the walks, pass balls, wild pitches, the odds are you will not win your game. But here's also what the odds would tell me, is that we'll go the rest of the Guardians-Yankees series and you will not see a sequence like you saw with this Cantillo pitcher with the Guardians. They're going to have to score runs the old-fashioned way. Soto, solo home run, not going to win them the series. Stanton, home run, not going to win them the series. They will need to have extended crooked number innings that aren't gifted to them by the Guardians because, trust me, the Guardians aren't going to keep gifting them runs like that. Yes, they lost game 1. the Guardians did. Yes, Joey Cantillo is the next Rick Ankielen. I'd be shocked to see him pitch again this series, though it's hard in the playoffs. You cannot take him off the roster unless he comes up with a sore back, sore shoulder all of a sudden. Boy, that would be something. If we woke up today, Cantillo woke up, ooh, I got a source. Oh, that would have been so good, Coca. 4869. Hey, coach, I woke up with a sore sphincter. It's possible, I guess. All the Guardians have to do is split in New York like the Mets did. I would hardly say that the series is over. The thing about things being over is that we never really know the moment it's over, short of a firing, short of the final out of a game, the clock going 0.00, all of the ways that things end where there's a mark and a set mark, it's easy to tell. When you are bleeding out, it's hard to know the exact moment that it's too much. When you are sticking with a player, it's hard to know when you've stuck with a player too long until you look back and you realize that you stuck with a player too long or that you've done something too long. I was not going to let another day go by without being able to talk about Deshaun Watson. One of my favorite topics on Nothing Personal. Deshaun Watson did nothing wrong on the field, signing a $230 million contract. That was all Jimmy Haslam, in consultation with his wife and daughter, giving him $230 million guaranteed at signing, thinking that somehow he was a quarterback worthy of that. I take no greater pleasure in someone's failure than Deshaun Watson. As far as I'm concerned, it would be my pleasure if the Browns didn't win another game with him at quarterback. It is my pleasure to watch a owner implode and be willing to give up losses in order to look good. And the irony is that Jimmy Haslam thinks that he looks good by having Watson play. How often do we do that as executives? Hey, we invested in this guy. We signed this guy. We traded for this guy. We got to play this guy. David, he stinks. No, it's going to get better. Listen and watch, however you're engaging with Nothing Personal. Kevin Stefanski is the coach of the Cleveland Browns, and he was forced to meet the media about Deshaun Watson, and what he said is the laugher of the week.
I think it's just important that we continue to do everything we can to play good, sound football. I think there were moments of that, obviously, yesterday. I think Deshaun gives us the best chance to win, continues to give us the best chance to win, and we need to play really good offensive football at his position and really at every position to be successful on Sunday.
Thanks.
I can't tell if he believes what he says. I can't tell if Haslam had his hand up his keister saying, talk this way, walk this way. What I can tell you is that if I'm Jimmy Haslam and I'm not involved, oh no, it's impossible. Of course he's involved, because your head coach would never say something like that without being fired, because it's a lie. It's an absolute lie. Do you believe that Deshaun Watson is the best person, is the most effective chance to win a game? Let me just say, he ranks last in the league in quarterback rating. Last. His quarterback rating is 21.5. Just so you know. He ranks 558th. This is a good one, Coca. Out of 566 in quarterbacks since the rating has started for passers who have thrown 100 passes over their first 6 games. He's 558th out of 566. So it is true there are 8 players who don't give the Browns a better chance to win than Watson. Since the start of 22, Watson started 18 games. His rating is 34.4. Do you know who he's better than? Zach Wilson and Bryce Young for all passers with 500 attempts. So, Kevin, you're right. Jimmy Haslam, my bad. It is true that given a choice of Zach Wilson, Bryce Young, or Deshaun Watson does give you the best chance to win. He's sacked constantly, like 12.4% of his dropbacks he's dropped on his tuchus. That's like double the average rate. There's no starter who has that rate. Is he not giving the ball up fast enough? Is he not doing the checkdowns, which every other quarterback's doing? Is his offensive line a sinkhole of nothingness? All of that may be true, but isn't it the quarterback's job to convert on third down more than 19.2% of the time? There's nobody who's been less effective in that scenario either. What scenario is it that Watson gives you your best chance to win? Where was the follow-up to that video, to that statement he made to the media? Hi, my name is David Samson. My question for you is, Kevin, who have you compared him to when you say he gives you the best chance to win? What's the list? Just give me a couple names. Is it Winston, your backup? Is that the problem? Because you view him as even lower, less of a chance to help you than Watson? Who are you fooling here? It's an age-old topic. Who are you fooling when you meet the media? We're always trying to fool you, the audience, the fans. Did it ever work? I feel like with nothing personal, we've shown you that it's just impossible to make it work. How can an informed audience who you're treating with respect listen to what Stefanski said? I've said Stefanski, I've said Stefanski. I've said tomato, you said tomato. Coke is yelling in my ear. It's Stefanski. Yablonowitz. Shout out to Continental Divide. I love you, John Belushi and Blair Brown. It's got to be a lie. If you're Jimmy Haslam, how long are you going to go with Watson? Rest of the season? Will it take him being lower than 558th out of 566? Will it take a few more losses, a few more offensive inefficiencies? You know he's guaranteed money, not just this year, but next year, Watson is, and the year after. Nothing much, about 47 mil each year, guaranteed. No big deal. Dead cap hit of like 76 mil. They could release him and just pay that man his money. They could just pay him to go away. What an acknowledgement by an owner when you have to release your biggest signing you've ever made and the signing that made you persona non grata inside an ownership room. The owners are meeting right now. Right, well, not exactly right now. It's 8:27. If you're watching this on DraftKings Network, the owners are meeting right now. You think they all get together in a corner and huddle up and say, hey, look at Jimmy over there. They start making fun of him, throw paper airplanes, pass notes, try to get him in trouble with Roger by having him talk during the full league meeting. Yeah, I've done all those things. Got in trouble. Could you keep quiet down there, David? Yeah, I'm talking to the Mets. I wonder who's sitting next to the Browns at the owners meeting today. You know, they rotate who sits where at owners meetings. I wouldn't want to be sitting next to Jimmy Haslam or Jerry Jones today at all. Frankly, I wouldn't want to be sitting next to Mark Davis either. I'm trying to think who would I want to be sitting next to. How about Josh Harris? No, Josh Harris may be thinking, ooh, maybe Jaden's not that good. Boy, did we just get off the subject, Coca. I'm sorry. All right, let's take a break. I'm done with Watson. The Browns aren't, but I am. When we come back, we're going to review a wacky documentary, and I have to ask you about it. And then one of you asked me a question about memorabilia that really did interest me. We're going to discuss all that and more after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. I don't mind on-set romances. I'm actually all in. You're acting with people, or you're like summer camp, you're stuck in a place, or when you're in a hurricane and you're stuck without power and in a hotel. I mean, stuff happens. I get all that. I haven't quite gotten yet to the correctional officer falling in love with the inmate thing. I understand the correctional officers like Vicky White who is the subject of a new movie called Jailbreak, Love on the Run on Netflix. Jailbreak, Love on the Run. There's a lot of stories who were told. Ben Stiller made a whole movie about it, about upstate New York. There are correctional officers who help people escape. There are women correctional officers who have sex with men inmates. There's men correctional officers who have sex with men inmates, women inmates. Stuff happens. On-set romance, workplace affairs. These are not uncommon. But here's the question. As insecure as I am in a relationship, and I am very insecure in every way, when you are a correctional officer and you're getting love and attention from an inmate who is serving a life sentence, query, does it ever occur to you that there's a chance he doesn't think you're hot and that he really just wants your help to escape? Is there any possibility that you give to the cynical side of life, which is, am I being used today? You bet your bippy, Vicky. Now, it may not have ended well for Vicky. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The reason I'm fascinated watching this documentary is that the guy that she loves is a maniac, psychological, sociopathic maniac. The woman, Vicky White, is this hardworking woman in charge of a correctional facility, the logistics, like the COO of this facility. And she gets absolutely in under his spell. And they escape. Now, here's a little word of advice to those of you listening inside the tank. You're going to get caught if you try to escape. Instead, be entertained by us 50 minutes a day and some other shows. Try to be nice to your fellow inmates and try not to commit any more crimes should you be lucky enough to be released. But the whole escape plan, I guess you could always find a Vicky White and it's true love, and you end up on the beach with Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. I guess that could happen in a movie. Nothing personal pick of the day. It's a split. I didn't doink it. I feel like I did sort of doink it, like the Jets field goal kicker who doinked two of them off the crossbar. Is there anything louder than a field goal kick off the crossbar? It's crazy to me. It makes this noise that you're watching the field goal go, and then it's fading left, and you're looking, and you're saying, or it's fading right, and you're thinking, oh, I don't think it's going to make it. Oh, it could. And then it sneaks in like a home run ball, and you're measuring whether or not it went left of the foul pole or right, fair or foul, and you're looking for it to disappear because that's helpful in determining which side of the foul pole it went on. Misnamed, should be the fair pole. And so the uprights, which are properly named because they are upright in a football game, the clank, the doink, as so aptly described by John Madden, doink. That's the sound of me splitting my nothing personal pick of the days. We had the Bills over the Jets. It's a winner. We had the Guardians plus 1.5 runs. The final score was, I want to say, 5-2. I believe that Luke Weaver came in for a multi-out save. He had to go an inning and a third. And I believe that that's what happened, Coca. So I believe the Guardians and their 1.5 runs did not make it. Tonight may be just any night, but it is the night that the Guardians rebound. It is their ace, Bybee, against the Yankees ace, Cole, in a very important game, too, because if you win the first 2 games of a 7-game series, we will come at you with all of those great stats. You win 69.9% of the time. The road team that splits the first 2 wins 68.2% of the time. We'll get them all for you. Our crack staff of researchers. The reason I'm taking the Guardians plus 1.5 runs is what the Yankees did last night. They're not going to get to do today. Is there a bet, Coca, that we can find on DraftKings about who's not going to appear in a game tonight? There is no scenario. I don't care if the score is 20-0 after 2 innings because Bobby gives up 10 and then they bring in a long reliever who gives up 10. There is no scenario where Cantillo pitches today. None. I'll go even further. You know what, Coca? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you a wait to see that is crushing, but an official wait to see. I feel like we haven't done one of those in quite a while. Joey Cantillo, the pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, will not pitch again in the American League Championship Series. Book it. But our nothing personal pick of the day is the Guardians plus 1.5 runs. We're going to run it back. We're going to run it back. First and goal at the 1. We're going to try. We got stuffed. We're going to try again. Second and goal at the 1. We're going to run it back. We're probably not going to run on third down. We'll probably not. But right now it's only second down. We're taking the Guardians plus 1.5 runs. Before I get to the, so you want to talk to Samson, because I really do like the question that you asked me, I want to talk about one thing as it relates to health. Aaron Rodgers got hit quite a few times. We've seen Josh Allen. We saw Joe Burrow this week. It seems like quarterbacks are snapping their heads back on the turf. I don't know as a quarterback why you're not wearing a Guardians cap, but be that as it may, maybe they don't like the way it looks, or maybe it interrupts their arm motion or their plane of vision. I don't think it does any of that, but let's just pretend it does. We are moments away from a seminal moment in the NFL season. And Coach Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins started planting the seed, which should give you easy access to the directionality of this decision. Mike McDaniel said that he's going to play this season. And that's been a big thing, which is, should Tua retire? Should he not? How much money are they fighting over? What will a settlement look like? Because of all the guaranteed money he has, because he's one of those quarterbacks who signed these big deals, like Dak Prescott, like Trevor Lawrence. All of them are having the same type of season, which is bad. The reason why you have your coach send out a flare, letting people know that Tua is going to play again, is that the decision's already been made. They already know that Tua is going to come back week 8 against Arizona. They know because they've, in theory, consulted with their doctors. They've consulted with Tua, and they've made the decision that their season, the Dolphins season, is absolutely finished unless Tua comes back. Even if he does come back, it's likely finished. What an amazing return this would be if he does come back in week 8 against the Cardinals. And I ask you to think about this. What would you give up to achieve? And there's movies about this for sure. Bad Monkey. He cut off his arm, for crying out loud. What would you give up? Would you give up a night with your wife for $1 million? There's a whole movie about it called Indecent Proposal. Would you give up a chance at living to 65 to do what you want to do at 25? People, when they're 25, can't imagine being 65. How many people say to themselves, I won't live to be 65. What does it matter? So many people, so many kids have that view. Professional athletes are never focused on the fact that they can't walk, can't talk, and can't get out of bed very often as they get later in life because of what they did to their bodies during their career. And they all say, unbelievably, it was worth it. I would do it again. I think that's where Tua is. For Tua, he views this as a worth it risk. Yeah, if I get another concussion, I'll retire, but I'll retire and I'll have plenty of time to recover and I'm going to be fine. There will be no Junior Seau situation, no Aaron Hernandez situation. I'm going to be just fine. I've got one more in me. No problem. Hey, Brett Favre is fine. He just has Parkinson's, and he said he had thousands of concussions. I've only got 5. We all rationalize that not us. It won't be me. It is one of the great human defense mechanisms that we have. The "it won't be me" syndrome always works until it is you, and then you say, I always knew there was a chance. What a after the fact, ex post facto epiphany to have, rationalization to have. I think that's what's going on. Personally, I think that's what's going on in Dolphin Land. We're going to find out because he's either going to be on the field week 8 or he's not. All right, Coca, please.
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
So you want to talk to Samson. Get into my X. I don't like the way that sounds. Can we rephrase that? You can contact me on the platform X at David P. Samson. DMs are open. Or Instagram, David P. Samson. Or David Samson, that's D-A-V-I-D, easy. S-A-M-S-O-N, pretty easy. P-O-D-C-A-S-T. DavidSamsonPodcast.com. Ask me any question. This was a good one. Hi, David. I always like that start. I've been a listener to you for well over 5 years, which is funny because we just celebrated 5 years. That's like when people would apply to have a job at the Marlins. I've been a Marlins fan my whole life. Really? You haven't been around your whole life. That's weird, but I guess you could say that. I've been a listener to you for well over 5 years. I've listened to Nothing Personal for 4+ years, plus the radio with Dan years ago. I guess that's what he means by well over 5 years. Thank you, Coca. Coca just yelled at me. All right, we're going to do that again. We're going to do that again. We're live. It's fine. It's fine. 4869. Hi, David. I've been a listener to you for well over 5 years. I've listened to NPDS for 4+ years. Thank you. Plus the radio with Dan years ago, because I've been going on Levitard for many years, like decades. Question. Would you comment on sports memorabilia? Do many players participate in getting things signed and authenticated? Could a player buy extra uniforms and wear many throughout the season so they could sign them and sell them later? Well, I appreciate you asking, and it's very pertinent right now. Because remember what's going on in Miami with the gentleman who purportedly caught Ohtani's 50th home run and got the 50-50 ball. And remember, it's up for auction. The current bid is $1.7 million, which is pretty amazing that somebody willing to do that. And then, of course, you have to pay a little shtup above that to the auction house. So really bidding 1.7, you're paying $2 million for it. Query who's going to get it, doesn't matter. Let's say the judge splits the baby. There's lawsuits going on, which he won't. The guy who has the ball, it's his ball. You can sue all you want. You're going to lose. But all of that said, can you imagine going to a game and then walking out with that lottery ticket? It's amazing. I'm very happy for that guy. Hopefully that guy spends some of the money to become a season ticket holder at Marlins Park. That would be a nice thank you gesture. The way memorabilia works, we own it. There is nothing inside the clubhouse that is not ours other than the players' gloves and the players' shoes. Every uniform is owned by the team. All the balls. Everything that a player would sell other than batting gloves, shoes, are ours. The bats, here's another little nugget that you may not know. The bats are owned by the team. We pay for all the bats to come, and they come in boxes inside the clubhouse. There's a locked area where it's the storage for all the bats. It's the storage for all the uniforms. I have a spreadsheet each year that's given to me by the clubby, which would have the number and how many home jerseys, how many away jerseys. Is it the home white? Is it the home black? Is it the home red? Is it City Connect? There'd be a list. At the end of every season, we would give a jersey to a player and say, that is your jersey. We're gifting it to you. Frame it. Keep it. No problem. If a player comes to us with the desire to get more jerseys because they want to auction them off or they want to sell them, 9 times out of 10, we will buy the jerseys for the player and give it to the player. There are examples where we make the players buy jerseys. I'll give you an example. Ichiro had a deal where he had a huge memorabilia deal because he's Ichiro, the greatest Japanese player of all time. Yes, and I said that and I mean it. No apologies to Shohei. Ichiro is a better player than Shohei today. If Shohei does this for 10 years, we'll talk. That said, Ichiro would do huge signings for his sponsors. They would buy jerseys from us because we don't get them for free. What we get as a team is an allocation. Every spring training, a bunch of balls arrive, a bunch of jerseys arrive, and it is a set number that each team gets. But you need way more jerseys. You need way more balls than they send. You need more of everything. We then go to the manufacturer and we buy. And then we buy numbers. The jerseys that you see of players are just numbers that are sewn onto the jersey by the clubbies with a really cool machine. That's how jerseys get made so quickly. It's a blank jersey by size. You pull it out of the rack, and then you add, because we've got a bunch of 1s, 2s, 3s, all the way through 0 through 9. We're told what the number is for the player. The clubby generally assigns the number. Then they make the jersey. That jersey is property of the team. The creating of memorabilia happens every year during spring training when every team does a major signing where all players come to the clubhouse and there are tables set out with numbers, not jerseys, numbers. Like if you're Stanton, we had in front of him 10 number 2s, and then you'd make a jersey with the 2 signed by Stanton, 2-7. There's boxes of balls that are allocated to different departments. And what you do is that you explain to the players, here's what the balls are for. We would use them for customer service complaints. We use them for giveaways. We'd use them to sell every once in a while game used balls. It's an entire system that's put into place. Every player has to participate. It's in the collective bargaining agreement. There is a limit. You cannot go to a player every day with 25 jerseys and 4 dozen balls and say, sign it. 99% of the players are really good about signing. There are players who have different signatures when they're doing the mass signings versus when they're doing specific signings. One of my great examples is Giancarlo Stanton. Go take a look at Giancarlo Stanton's signature. He's got 2 signatures. One when he's got to sign 100 posters, and one when he's signing something special in his mind for himself or for someone who he loves. Very normal. Have you ever seen tennis players when they walk off the court, or celebrities when they're on the red carpet and they're going, that really doesn't help if you're not watching this, but they're doing like quick squiggly lines and then on to the next, and they're signing a million things at a time, like when the tennis players are signing the tennis balls, or when anyone's in a scrum of signing. Yeah, that's true. When we're getting signatures authenticated, it is incumbent upon the authenticator to recognize that this is the actual signature of the actual player signing at the actual moment. It doesn't matter to us if the guy has a good signature, a bad signature, if you can read his signature, if you cannot read his signature. What matters to us is that the signatures get authenticated, because that means they are permanently in a log on the internet, and you can see whether or not that player actually signed that item at that time. That's where the value comes. And much like an artist, they can choose to sign more, to sign less, to sign different things. They can all do deals from the worst player to the best player. They're all able to get deals for memorabilia, for signatures. It's just a matter of how much they're paid. But if you are a big leaguer, you have that open to you. It is an incredibly intoxicating power to have the ability to take a blank piece of paper and put something on it, and it's like having your own printing press. Think about what artists can do. They jot something down, it's got value. Famous people whose memorabilia is craved have the same ability. You sign something, you've created money that you could sell or you could give to make a lifetime memory. But make no mistake, the memorabilia game, it's just business. We'll be back tomorrow. This is nothing personal.